Guizhou's greatest appeal to me is the plurality of culture.
以高速公路、高速铁路为重要的载体的话，使得贵州能够融入到咱们整个经济体系当中去。
I think Guizhou opening this national park is one of the few ways that they can really protect some of those areas.
我觉得贵州省会因为 FARC 存在，变成一个国际平等的一个交流中心。
So now Guizhou is using this experience that was for poverty alleviation, for rural revitalization, to other industries.
It felt that Guizhou, much like Shenzhen, carried the sort of the model or the blueprint for the evolving China stage.
I think it's very enriching to experience Guizhou, and one should try to experience from as many angles as possible.
The 20th National Congress of the CPC is a cornerstone for the history, especially modern history of China. In the opening session, President Xi revised everything that the CPC have been doing and how CPC needs to approach the concept of development, as President Xi calls the high quality development and common prosperity and the path to modernization. One of the results of this is the eradication of poverty in China, and that's exactly what we are talking about when we say about Guizhou. That's the contribution of Guizhou for the whole China, because Guizhou was one of the most poor places in China. If Guizhou didn't succeed, probably China would not be succeeding in the poverty alleviation. The key question is basically not how you take people out of the poverty, but how you guarantee that people will not go back to poverty. In the case of Guizhou, they used technology and people. They did a database that covered the whole population, but the database is not enough. They need to send officials to go house per house to check if this information was there. Once they certify that, they start putting the programs together. Once they start putting the programs together, that's the most important. They follow up. And when they see that the person got the minimum income, this person was removed of the phase one of the project, meaning the poverty alleviation, and was included in other programs like workshops, like training. So it's a full cycle. It's very important when you have the agriculture production, and that's one of the challenges of Guizhou, is to continue having more efficient in agriculture production, at the same time is putting in the market. And when you take the agriculture product and you cut the middleman, the farmers, they can sell direct through e-commerce, online platform, to social media. If you go to Kuaishou, to TikTok, you're gonna find a lot of farmers from Guizhou selling mushrooms, selling tea direct. And that's great because the income is direct increasing. So that's a great, I would say, winning for the Guizhou government and Guizhou population, the citizens. And I think that's what the Guizhou government is doing, is to understand that rural revitalization means improvement of agriculture, means to have more income to the farmers, to have more technology, 5G connectivity. Everything is one package, because that's what we are talking about, the future of rural development. I believe this question between rural and urban and brain drain is a challenge not for China, not for Guizhou, but the world. People normally, when they don't see opportunities, they tend to move to the centers. And that was one of the alleviation policy of China, to move people from the rural areas to the urban centers to get them to have opportunities. In my understanding, this policy was right, but we still need to think that we need to keep people in the rural areas. And way to do that is to create infrastructure. I think more infrastructure we put in those locations, more opportunities we create in those locations, you can attract brains and important talents to this location. Sometimes many people, they want to live the urban center that is crowded, traffic, stress, to go to rural areas because your quality of living is better. You eat better, you breathe better. So those elements need to be promoted. People are too stressed in the cities. So basically, the rural areas has this competitive advantage against urban, but the government needs to give infrastructure. I think Guizhou is a good example because they show that only relocating people without the necessary infrastructure is not enough. They relocate 2 million people in different areas in Guizhou, but they also construct almost 700 schools. They hire more than 30,000 teachers for these 700 schools. And they build new health centers around these regions. Another important element, together with the relocation, they start workshops for create opportunities and to train people to find their jobs. Those elements were very, very important in terms of how you relocate it and how you give conditions for the development of the people and the development of the relocation place to achieve their results. And development in that sense is not just economic growth, is improving the life of its people, is to achieve common prosperity. Modernization of China towards the future of the Chinese nation is very important. So we need to keep the development pace to every single people. Everything you do needs to be centered at the citizens. So if you understand that, you understand every single policy that China takes and the policies had.